Welcome, everybody, to the AdSkills Pro podcast. And I'm so thrilled to be back with you for another season. And I'm extra thrilled for our guest today. Rory Stern is one of AdSkills Guardians. He's a legend in the media buying game. He has the best background artwork in the business. Big Baby Yoda fan here. Love that. Hang on, where's mine? You probably won't be able to see him because of the green screen, but yeah.
Nice. I like him with that blue face though.
Yeah,
with
the blue face. Yeah, that's right. It's a political statement.
Nice.
Look, the thing that I love about Rory, and particularly his incredible contributions to the AdSkills community. One of the most popular, frankly, the most popular posts that we use in all of AdSkills is sadly the hey, here's how not to get banned by Facebook post, because sadly we still see a lot of people, and perhaps more than ever, we see people more than ever people being banned on Facebook. Before we go into that, I'd love, Rory, tell us about what sort of media buying you're doing at the moment, who you're working with. Give us a bit of a feel for, since the last time we talked. Give us a bit of a feel, so for people who don't know you, which is, I don't know why they wouldn't, but for those who don't know you, can you tell us about what sort of areas you focus on?
Sure. So there's me, and then there's the agency, right? So my particular expertise, before there was an agency, I came up running Facebook ads. That was the hot ticket, 8.5 years ago, before everybody was an advertiser and everybody was a Facebook ad expert. I kind of came in on the early wave of Facebook advertisers. When I started my agency 4.5 years ago, and I had this idea even 1.5 years before, one is the loneliest number, right? And we're living it right now in AdSkills. You've got Justin beating his chest, screaming from the rooftops, why aren't you guys going to Google? You need to get away from Facebook, or you need to stop relying on Facebook. So we do offer Google ads, so search, display, YouTube, and shopping for e-commerce businesses. I don't do that. That's why I say there's a difference between me and the agency. Is I also knew I can't excel at both. So we offer the top two networks, if you will. Primarily, I'd say our business is health and finance. We steer clear of make money online, BizOp, not because of the policy violations. That's not an issue for us.
No.
The problem tends to be the mindset and the mentality of the BizOp product owner, who wants to lead with all the hype and BS that Facebook doesn't want to hear. And when we tell them they need to make changes, most of them cut and run.
So let's pull that apart a little bit, because it's not like in the finance and health potential minefields. Let's face it, right? So it's not like you're shirking BizOp because of the as you say, because of those challenges. In terms of mindset, what can you give us sort of an example, if you will, of that BizOp media buyer mentality? Because I hear this a lot, and I think it'd be interesting to talk to other media buyers about the client. How do you manage that expectation of the client in terms of what you can and can't say on AdSkills?
Well, that's really the $64,000 question, Ed, is, and really why we don't do it all that often is it's the mindset of the business owner. A BizOp person is somebody who they tend to write very vague, hypey copy, blind copy that leads to a business opportunity. Well, flat out, Facebook doesn't like the word business opportunity. They don't technically even like online business. And I think we talked about this once before. I don't know whether it was private or it was a group setting, but you don't need to talk about your online business. You have a business.
Yeah.
And you get pushback on stuff like that. So
yeah.
It's really just the mindset of, I'm going to dig my heels in. I'm not going to change what I'm doing. It works to affiliates. It should work on Facebook. And it's just like, listen, you don't understand how it works. And, God bless you. Most biz op people that we talk to are very, very successful. They're making very good money. So no disrespect to them, no trash talking them. It's just it's a different world, when you're bringing an offer to paid media versus affiliate traffic. Affiliate traffic, you can get away with almost anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, unless the FTC comes after you.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. So in terms of making sure, like thinking through the creative, because that's something that really does set you guys apart, I think, in terms of your agency and so on. Take us through how you work with a client to build up that creative that's compliant and still does a job, right?
That's an awesome question. And just so we clarify, when you say creative, are we talking the image and the video, or are we talking the whole ad unit, including copy?
The whole ad unit really is I think, because it's that package which is A, going to be looked at by the ad network, but B, it's got to be effective as well. And given your experience in, frankly, minefield niches like finance and health, how do you send the sniffer dogs out? So you still get to the other side, you still get an effective cost per lead, you still get an ad that works, but is also compliant.
So, it all starts with, kind of our media buying approach, which it doesn't really matter whether you're just starting out, whether you're a 7-figure business, whether you're an 8-figure Agora division. We take the same approach regardless of who we work with. And it really boils down to what I call sort of a go for the throat advertising campaign. You have, and I'll explain what I mean by that, but I want to differentiate it first.
Yeah.
You have a lot of people out in the marketplace now talking about, oh, you want to start with content and you want to develop a relationship and warm them up and, serve them advertorial. I shouldn't even say advertorials, because that's different, especially how Justin teaches it. But, send them to an article or a blog post. And what most people don't have the finances to back ad spend like that, where you can be all warm and fuzzy on the front end for any extended period amount of time. Even somebody like an Agora, we're going straight for the throat. It's all about we're direct response marketers, and I feel like that's getting lost. And direct response marketing is all about, how do you put $1 in, get X amount back, and how do you track that? And that's the go for the throat, is the clearest, the most direct path between point A and point B is a straight line. It's not drive them to an article and then retarget them to an opt-in and then opt into a webinar. Those are all great strategies that do work. They all have their place and they're all within our arsenal. But if you look at, the number one question we get asked, it's also the number one question that I hate hearing: how fast until profitability? Right? I don't know. 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? Like, what's your risk tolerance? What's your pain threshold? But it all comes down to, how do I get a return for my dollars, my ad spend? So we take that approach and go, all right, we need to come up with an ad that puts them in front of an offer as quickly as possible. And that's when we start to conceptualize, okay, what do we have to do? Typically, our go for the throat approach is straightforward copy. I focus predominantly, the ad creative is developed in terms of an image first. We always start with image.
Interesting.
Everybody loves video. Everybody wants to rave about video. What people don't understand about video is that you have an unknown multiplier, an unknown variable when you throw video in, because now you're relying on your video to sell. You're relying on your script to sell. You don't know how much people are going to watch of it. There's so many different factors to it. And in my opinion, it slows things down. So we start with a static image. We start with a static image, typically that is framed one of two ways. And one of two ways is based on the same principle. How do I evoke an emotion out of my ideal prospect? How do I get my visitor who is scrolling through Facebook, who is not looking for what I have, to stop what they're doing? And we do that by tapping into two avatars. Avatar one is, and both of these avatars, by the way, the whole goal is, can the Facebook user, can the person scrolling through the news feed identify with what they see in a fraction of a second? So avatar one is the frustrated prospect, the pain point. If it's an agency owner struggling to get clients, we can, it's something like this, right? Like they're frustrated, they're angry. Avatar number two is the outcome. What is the outcome, the positive result of my offer? What state is it going to be in? We know that from Direct Response 101, from the OGs like Kennedy, it's easier to move somebody away from their hell island than it is to move them towards their pleasure island. So you do want to consider that. And the reason I frame that, Ed, is it's natural for people to go towards the pain. We actually find on, go ahead.
I think you're going to answer the question that just immediately popped in my head, which is, this is what I want to highlight for people about what Rory is about to say right now, is where those making money BizOp people go really wrong, because they're used to using negative. People slow down for the car accident. They don't slow down for the beautiful sunset. So how do you, there's this clash. How do you solve that clash?
So we honestly focus on the positive. We focus on the outcome, and we split tested. We have split tested the crap out of this over the years. And if you want a restful night's sleep, let's talk about a supplement. You want a restful night's sleep. It's pretty obvious. You're either going to show somebody in bed having a really hard time falling asleep, or you're going to show somebody resting peacefully. I promise you, 9 times out of 10, that resting peacefully image is what people are drawn to, and what works on Facebook. I can't explain it. Psychologically for me, it makes, because that's my background, right? It's psychology. It makes sense. People want that outcome. The direct response marketer in me is like, how do you match the two when they're so diametrically opposed? But at the same time, again, direct response marketer, we go with what the data tells us. So it's that positive outcome. And you want to talk about, let's use this sort of as a bridge to that BizOp market. We can tie it all together, and then we'll come back to the copy. So another thing to know about BizOp is, BizOp, make money online, get rich quick, push button riches. The quickest and fastest, easiest way to attract dead broke, unqualified prospects and customers is what BizOp people love, which is show a picture of a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, a yacht, a private jet. Those are people who are like, oh my God, this is my one ticket. I'm going to just attend this 45-minute webinar. No. And we've tested that too. And those are the people that come in, they buy your $7 tripwire, but they can't afford your $2,000 home study course. They can't afford your $25,000 a year mastermind. Ain't going to happen. So that's another tip for all those lovely BizOp people.
There are a lot of them. Hey, no disrespect from me before I retired. That was my ground. So absolutely, no disrespect.
And like I said, Ed, no disrespect to anybody in the BizOp space. There is lots of money to be made there. There are lots of great people out there with great offers. If you want to run on paid traffic, you got to play by the compliance and policy game.
So let's come back to let's go back to this, building up this, the creative and the copy.
Okay. So once we've got our base image, and I want to stress that we're not we do use stock photos, but we're not just using a stock photo. We're going to apply what Justin taught and does teach in the Media Buying Masters program, It's how I was able to connect the dots to really look at what I was taught to do at the previous agency with how we're able to come up with creative almost every single time. And I do say almost. There are exceptions to every rule. But what Justin teaches is there's 3 ways to increase conversions on an ad, and it also starts with getting them to stop properly. So number 1, diagonal lines. The brain cannot process a diagonal line the same way they can horizontal or vertical. So it's in some ways a pattern interrupt. Jack up the contrast, make a brighter image. And we go one step further. And Justin has talked about this as well, which is go with a grayscale ad, black and white. You have to look at your newsfeed and go through it and go color, 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 color. So what pops? So we're putting, visual cues in there that take on the form of diagonal lines. One thing I should say, diagonal lines. One thing I should say, because I said vertical and horizontal, thirds, having an image broken up into thirds and just having those 2 horizontal lines, thirds work great too. So it's diagonals. It's diagonals, it's jacking up the contrast, it's black and whites, and we also put a little bit of treatment on it, and treatment being what add your background. There's the AdSkills logo, you've got the chat bubbles, like we put a little bit of flair on there, not to make it look like this, and this is a big key, because we brought on a creative director about a year ago who was really, really big on making them really heavily graphic. And it was like, no. The star of your image really is that background image. Everything else is a carefully thought out piece of flair to help draw attention to stuff. So, another thing we picked up from Justin's training over the years was, it's great to have the person, if you have a person in your ad and not necessarily you, the guru, but let's say you have a model in the ad, have them looking at the call to action. Me, the visitor, the viewer, we're drawn to where that person's looking. Exactly, right? Exactly. So those are ways to really help the image stand out. After we get the image concept, then again, back to that sort of go for the throat. My headline is everything. In fact, I always tell people, and we test this occasionally, I should test this more religiously to really back it up. But I tell people, and we've created ads over the years that I just go off the principle of, I want my image and my headline to sell that click where they don't even have to read the body copy.
Yeah.
Body copy is extra. If I haven't done my job with the image and the headline, I don't have a compelling enough ad.
Wow. So that's really interesting, because that's a bit counterintuitive to, a lot of people out there, particularly when talking about Facebook ads, is the description, if you will, which is the body copy for us oldies, as the start. So that's interesting. So, and almost the headline in a Facebook traditional ad, if you look at your, if you go to a Udemy or something to get your copy training, then talk to me a little bit about, so ad image first, and you've given us some amazing stuff on what you're looking at in the ad image. So then, like in the creative process of the ad, are you then workshopping headlines, or are you going to writing the copy and then coming up with the headline?
Headline first.
Okay.
Headline first.
So what's
image and then headline.
Yep.
And there's a couple headlines. So if we back up a second.
Yeah, sure.
We go back to when I first started running Facebook ads. I dabbled with them. I didn't know anything. Facebook friend of mine who was an early pioneer in Facebook ads, one of Justin's star students back in the day, needed a copywriter. And he and we joked around on Facebook. I was sarcastic. I saw his post looking for a copywriter. I made some sarcastic comment. Next thing you know, I'm on a phone call with him. He offers me a job as a copywriter.
Yep.
I was mentored by him every single morning. We got on a call and went over client copy, and we focused on this will be a nice capstone to it. If you want to know about what I'm about to explain, and you want more of what I'm about to explain, go get Great Leads. The book is called Great Leads. And there's something like 4 or 5 different types of leads. There's the promise, the solution, and a question. Those are 3 leads. So every ad that I created for that agency always had 3 different angles, if you will, but it was really the same headline. One was a promise, one was a solution, one was a question. I think at one point, we fooled around with curiosity-driven stuff, inserting
secret style leads.
Yes, the secret. That's the other one. Yeah, secret style leads. So again, it really just all comes down to a strong headline, and that go for the throat approach is really tell people what they're getting. When I first started really spending a lot of time on Facebook ad copy 8 years ago, and really started learning about Facebook, and I don't hear anybody talk about this anymore because Facebook ads are almost like breathing air at this point. They're there.
Yeah.
But if you look at how Facebook ads were created, right? They were created to be native. So what happens, and I encourage anybody to go do this. You can either put a URL into your status update and hit enter and see what it pulls from, or you can go to any major news publisher, Time Magazine, Newsweek. And if you look at their posts, I'm not even talking ads. If you look at their posts, the news posts are the headline, basically the feature image on the page. The headline is literally the title of the story. And if there's a little blurb, it's 1 or 2 sentences, and you click on the ad.
And see more. Yeah.
And that's really, like, people don't understand that. That's how Facebook ads were created, was to look like a news story. Yeah. So if you go with a headline of how to do X without Y, you're going to be speaking directly to that qualified prospect. Now, what I may take for granted, and thank God I'm thinking of this right now while we're talking, Ed, is, of course, you have to take into consideration market sophistication. You have to think about, what does the market need to hear? What have they been hearing? And it goes back to, once upon a time, to sell a supplement, it was, lose 5 pounds. Then it became lose 5 pounds in 5 weeks. Then it became lose 5 pounds on this acai berry diet. Like, the market gets more sophisticated, so your headline has to get a little bit more sophisticated. The further out you go in that pyramid of awareness, that's when really, for me, the body copy makes a difference. And don't get me wrong, we still put a lot of focus and attention into body copy. Yeah. We really do. But again, it's that fundamental underlying principle of, can I make an ad that's strong enough with the image and the headline to get a qualified click over to my landing page? And the thing to keep in mind here is this approach also is, you're not using curiosity. Curiosity is a powerful tool. Very few people, in my opinion and my personal experience running ads, can pull off curiosity-driven ads. One person who does really, really well with it is Perry Marshall. Perry has an ad. The image is a picture of an old school printing press, and the headline is, "Most people poo-poo this." You couldn't get any more vague or curiosity driven than that. Yep. And I don't know how that ad performs for Perry, but I can make an educated guess, knowing Perry, having met him, hung out with him, knowing his legend in this industry, knowing that he has a sophisticated back end and ascension model, that he can pull off curiosity copy like that. Most people can't, because most people today are operating in, I need to put $1 in and get $2 out, $3 out, $4 out. If that's the case, curiosity is not your friend unless you have one hell of an offer on the back end.
Yeah. So tell me, with this, in terms of sort of, because it's been such a good conversation, because I think in creative, looking at the construction of the ad, I think the image and the headline are usually afterthoughts to the body copy. So this is just a really great approach for people to talk about. Practically speaking, when the agency then goes to, so you've created this campaign, you've looked at alternative headlines, talk to me through a little bit of the testing protocol, if you will. So you're not just, all right, you might be. Are you just running one ad, or how do you do your testing to find a winner? How do you sort of structure things?
Okay, so let's go real deep here.
Mm.
Broad, the basics, but let's go deep. Let's make sure we give people some content here.
Yeah. Oh, you
So
already.
let's just we'll start with one campaign,
Yep.
not CBO.
Mm-hmm.
CBO is not for testing. CBO is for scaling and proven audiences and proven creatives.
Yep.
So
And for
it's a
people who don't know what CBO
yeah,
is, just
campaign budget optimization.
There we go. Yeah.
Thank you. I suck at that. I use that jargon day in and day out. So
that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a non-CBO campaign, multiple ad sets, typically one interest per ad set, because again, we're direct response marketers. We're testing everything. 2 to 3 ads. Okay. I don't use dynamic creative to test. I don't want Facebook having as much power as they think they deserve and want and need, and that all these algorithm, pixel, let it breathe gurus talk about. No, we're old school direct response marketers. We want to control everything and look at the data.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 2 to 3 is usually my scope. Most people, maybe 3 to 5. And for us, 99% of the time, it's going to be an image test first. So each ad will have a different image, and it'll all be the same headline and body copy. Yeah. And we push it. And this is what confuses people a little bit. It's not a true test because Facebook doesn't divide the ad spend evenly amongst all the other ads. Mm-hmm. We let them have that. If I really wanted to get granular into making sure each ad had a fair chance, or each image, then it would be ad set, one ad set, same, audience 1, ad, image 1, audience 1 again, image 2, that we'd stack it that way. But we get what we want out of, 3 to 5 ads.
Yeah.
Typically within that, we're testing, and this is funny. This pisses off a lot of our clients. They think we're going to go out and test radically different images.
Yeah.
No, we typically we'll test. We'll take maybe 2 different color photos with different backgrounds against a black and white of the same ad. And that's the first test.
Yeah. Yeah. And by doing that, and I think, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Rory, but I think it's as direct marketers, we need the data and the response. And there's never been a better time in history to get the data and response. So we're rapid testing. So you're not leaving that split test up for 3 weeks.
No. Maybe 2 years ago, it was 24 hours. I'd feel really good based on what I saw.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's easy to say 72 hours, let that sucker run.
Yeah.
There are a couple rule of thumbs we run by. If we turn on an ad and within 24 hours, that unique CTR all, and I want to be very clear, multiple metrics you can look at in your dashboard. We use unique CTR all in parentheses, and I'm shooting for 3 to 3.5% as the number. Mm-hmm. If that's under 1, chances are it's not going to recover.
Yeah.
I've never seen CTRs go up over time. Yep. I see them go down. So if we start out with something that's super strong, we know we're onto something. Super low, I might kill it. But at this point, today, 90% of the time, just let it run for 2 to 3 days.
Yep.
And get that data coming in.
And make a decision. Yeah.
Yep.
So this has been fantastic, Rory. I so appreciate it. Let me talk about you for a second, you and the agency. And thank you so much for that. How are you looking for people at the moment? How can people get in touch with you? Where's the best place for us to send people? And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, all of Rory's details and links are in the description. And of course, if you're listening on a podcast, then it'll be in the show notes. So what's the best place for people to reach out, Rory?
That is a great question. I appreciate that. I'm actually Googling right now to make sure that one of our URLs is still up and running. So first off, we'll answer the question of, are we looking for clients? Are we taking them on? We are putting the brakes on the done for you agency side as sort of a front end. At this point, if you want to work with us, most of the time you're going to have to go through either a paid audit, 30 days of consulting, so that we can really dig into your numbers. Over the last year and a half, I think I mentioned at the beginning, the clients have really shifted in their thinking. And if not, that was somebody else I mentioned it to, but we're really big on mindset, and it's tough to get that in one or two calls and say, yeah, let's get into bed together. Let's throw lots of money behind your offer and scale it. So we're really, really select. Usually it's, we're going to do a paid audit or we're going to do some consulting. Who we're really looking for is an already established business spending $50,000 or more a month on ads. Usually you're better off if you're spending $100,000 or more. Health, finance are our top two niches. As you know, and you alluded to a little bit, we excel at policy. So if people are having policy issues and they can't get answers, they want to clean up their offers, they want to make them compliant, we're the team for that. If you want to get a hold of us for that, you can always go to helpwithads.com. That'll take you to a calendar where you can schedule a call with my business partner or head of business development. Those are, the exact opposite of strategy calls. We're not going to sell you. We're going to sit down. We're going to diagnose your business. We're going to find out what you're doing, what's going on. If we can help you, we'll make an offer. If we can't, we'll let you know. We're not looking for just anybody anymore.
No, that's it. And more power to you. But I do want to, I know from personal experience and having had people speak with Rory and Rory's team in particular, I really want to mention the fact that, there are two businesses where, if you need, and even on the consulting side, if you need compliance help, get in touch with Rory's team. And as I said, all the links will be below here in the show notes. Hey, Rory, we could do an entire podcast series just ourselves, but you've been super generous today, just in some really important areas of creative which just don't get talked about enough, and that has been super amazing for us today. Thank you for being a guardian in our AdSkills Pro League community. We really appreciate having people of your caliber guiding people through the fun and games, which is the ad world.
Thank you, Ed. I mean, it's an honor to be a guardian in that group and to be active in that community. You guys, I mean, the team is amazing. The training is amazing. I wouldn't want to be a part of anything else. So it's great to be there and have this win-win and to get to know you better. It's really a great thing.
No worries, mate. Thanks very much. Hey, everybody, thank you for listening today or watching today, depending on where you've been. Again, all of Rory's details and contact details. And if you are interested in joining our community, there has never been a better time, and you'll see the links in the show notes. So with that, thank you very much, everybody, and we will speak to you again real soon.
Thank you, guys.